Welcome to all of my students and viewers who are connected to me on my channel Defense Alarm. And today, very good evening to all of my students, even who are connected to me, all of my viewers. Nice chapter from class 9, How I Taught My Grandmother to Read. So today, I am presenting in front of you all a very good chapter that has been written by Sudha Murthy. She is MTech in computer science and well-known story writer, well-known story author. So, if we are talking about this chapter, how I taught my grandmother to read, in this chapter, there are four characters. Mainly, you are required to know about four characters. The first, 12 years old girl, herself Sudha Murthy. Second, 62 years old grandmother. Third, Triveni. She is a writer and she has written so many stories in Kannada language. And fourth, that's the novel, that is Kasi Yatri. So these things are important in this chapter. At the initial point, if we are talking about the other factors of how I taught my grandmother to read, grandmother, she was very curious to read something. What happened in this whole story is that Sudha Murthy and she was living along with her grandparents in North Karnataka, where there is a lot of problems, communication problem, that due to transportation not well facility at that time. So they got a newspaper in afternoon, and even in magazine, weekly magazine, they got once in a week. So, but they were very curious to wait for the van, the vehicles. When they arrived at their village, they were running to the vehicles for getting newspapers and magazines. At that time, it was very impossible, but Sudha Murthy told in this story, she mentioned that her grandmother, she was very excited to know about the story, and the novel was very famous, Kasi Yatri. In this novel, old grandmother, old woman, and her one desirable things that she wanted to be in Kasi. She wanted to visit Kasi. But what happened in Kasi Yatri novel, that a girl, she had fallen in love and she was orphan. She had no any parents. And grandmother, who mentioned in the novel Kasi Yatri, where she stored money for the trip of Kasi. But once she knew about the girl who was orphan and couldn't capable to do marriage without money, she helped to girl and she couldn't go to Kashi. Grandmother, 12 years old Sudha Murthy herself narrated, she wrote in this chapter that grandmother was very excited to knew about the novel, to read the novel. But what happened, that she couldn't capable to read. In the midway of this story, that the narrator got an opportunity to be a part of marriage function. So she went away from the near village where she was visited. At that time, grandmother became alone. Now grandmother couldn't read anything in novel, but she was very eager to know about the novel Kasi Yatri and the story. At that time, she felt very alone. She felt so many other things that she couldn't read any words, even in Kannada language. So she felt so regret. What happened, that when the narrator came back to home, she saw that her grandmother was weeping. She was very disappointed and she never see that her grandmother was weeping. But at that time she had seen that grandmother was very sad and started weeping. In midnight she connected to her grandmother and asked that why you were weeping. Then grandmother told everything that in their past time people didn't allow to any girl for education in society. So she did not get the right education at the right time, and she was married very earlier. So she didn't get more time for study and more time for reading any kind of things. That's why she became so sad and she became so disappointed. After that, what happened? That she requested, grandmother requested to her granddaughter for teaching. That would you like to teach me? Then the narrator herself, Sudhamurti, she became very refused. That at the age of 62 years old, my grandmother she requested to me for teaching, and how she could capable to learn and to read something at this age. Grandmother was very confident, and she said that there is no any restrictions for learning anything. There is no any barrier of age, and she started to read the language, to learn the alphabets even in Kannada language. Now her granddaughter Sudhamurti, herself narrator, she became ready to teach her grandmother, and she promised, grandmother promised to her granddaughter that within Dasara, within Saraswati Puja to Dasara, even she will be completed and she will be capable to read something even in Kannada language. Really, she had done hard labor, and when Dasara came, she, grandmother, decided to welcome, decided to give honor to her granddaughter. She welcomed Sudhamurti, 12 years old girl, and she touched her feet, and she said that due to your teaching, right now I am capable, I became capable to read something in novel. So you are my teacher. At that time, the narrator became so surprised that my grandmother, and she touched my feet, and she said that teachers must be respected not by the age. Teachers always be respected by the knowledge, by the character, by the conduct in the society. There is no any restrictions of age, there is no any restrictions of any particular thing even in knowledge. So there is no any age for learning anything in life. At the age of 30, at the age of 35, at any age of your life, if you will decide to learn something, you will decide to read something, then you will start yourself. Now the narrator became very impressed, and grandmother also gave a prize to her granddaughter, that a very beautiful frock, and granddaughter also gave prize to her grandmother. Being as a student, she gave to her grandmother a novel, and that's a Kasi Yatri. When she gave a prize to her grandmother, a novel Kasi Yatri, she became capable to read even in Kannada language Kasi Yatri, and the writer name was Triveni. Really, at the end of this story, the grandmother became so happy, and granddaughter narrator became so surprised and happy that her grandmother became capable to read in any alphabets in Kannada language, and she was capable to read novel. So really, at the end of this story, her grandmother became very literate and became capable to read the novel. So that's the end of this story. In this story, you know very well about the characters. When Sudhamurti, 12 years old girl, then grandmother at the age of 62 years old, she decided to read something, and then novel in which grand woman, old woman, and her girls and their story was mentioned. So really, this story reflects the real identity for learning, the real identity for understanding capacity, and the real identity for curiosity. That at any age, if you are capable to read something, if you are capable to write something, so that's your achievements. Like as grandmother, she decided to read something, and she had finished her task without any kind of barrier, without any kind of restrictions of age. So really, you must have to understand the whole story. और मेरे जितने भी स्टूडेंट्स जो मुझे देख रहे हैं, उन सभी से मेरा आग्रह है कि आप बिल्कुल इस स्टोरी से रिलेटेड कोई भी आपके पास क्वेश्चन हो, यू हैव टू मेक योर कमेंट इन कमेंट बॉक्स. थैंक यू सो मच, and I am very happy to connect with all of my viewers in Defense Alarm. And today I came with one solution, that is how I taught my grandmother to read by Sudhamurti. And really, it was a very impressive and very inspirational chapter to all of us. So, thank you so much. Have a nice day. Again, I welcome and I respect to all my viewers, to all of my students. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Jai Hind, Bharat Mata ki Jai.